So I grew up in Apex. My family is not actually from Apex, though. We moved here in 1997 from Australia, and we knew literally nobody. Had some issues with a landlord of ours. This was like very, very early on to us coming. And so we needed some legal help. I was 6, so this is all sort of somewhat secondhand. I have vague recollections of it. But we went down to a lawyer's office for the first time in my family's life. We had never needed a lawyer before. And we met with an attorney, Skip Stam, and he's actually the attorney I currently work for now. And it was a fairly minor, like, landlord-tenant thing, and Skip does much bigger, more important things than that. At the time, he was in the North Carolina House of Representatives. He does, like, giant commercial real estate closings. He does a ton of really important stuff. But he took the time to meet with my parents and to explain to them what was going on, comfort them, and he actually gave my dad a law book, which was the first law book that I ever owned. It was like the basics of American law or something like that. And I realized after I went to law school that some of it was like a little bit out of date, but it was the general idea of like, these are things that you will probably want to know if you are going to continue to live in the United States. And here we are almost 30 years later, and now I'm working for him. And I guess the reason why I would say that's one of my favorite memories is it's just the sort of community and fellowship that you have in Apex. My family chose to move here for a reason. We could have moved a lot of different places, and we chose Apex not just because it's like a pretty small town, and it is a pretty small town, but because of the sort of people and the sort of community that Apex had grown was attractive to someone that moved halfway around the world. And it makes me feel really loved, both by Skip, but by Apex at large, to look back on when we really didn't have anything to offer him. I don't think my parents even paid for the consultation. If they did, they haven't told me, and I really expect it was probably a nominal fee. So they took us in at a time when we really didn't have anything to offer them. So I grew up in Apex, went to college at Campbell, which is down in Bowie's Creek, middle of nowhere, North Carolina. And this is just, when you think of important memories, the first thing that came to mind, I don't think it's still Peak City. Maybe it's Pecan-Salem now, whatever it was. I went out with my girlfriend for my 21st birthday. I think she was maybe my fiance at the time. I don't know. We're married now. We have kids. But we went to Peak City, and I had my first glass of wine at Peak City Grill. And I remember thinking that it was pretty terrible. I like wine now, but at the time it kind of just, it didn't taste so good. But Peak City was great, and they were just so kind about it. They could kind of tell that I wasn't into it. And we crossed the street over to, I think it might have still been the Salem Street Soda Shop. Now it's the Salem Street Pub. And I had some beer there, and beer was easier than wine. But it was an interesting, first experience, and to have it sort of so intimately tied up with Apex. And then we moseyed on down the street to the Hershey's ice cream shop and got ice, because wine tastes really, really freaking bitter. And I wanted something sweet to get all of that bitterness out of my system. So that's my important memory. So what makes Apex home to me? I look where we are right now, I can look down Main Street and sort of place a whole bunch of memories and things that have specifically happened, like common grounds over there. I've had meetings with clients or friends of mine, but especially sitting right where I am here today, the fire station's right here. I'm the president of the Apex Rotary Club this year. For some strange reason. I think I'm doing okay, but whatever. And we do pancake breakfast and a Christmas parade every year. It's the first Saturday in December, and it is the biggest day of the Rotary year. And if you are the Rotary president, even if you're not the Rotary president, it's a big day. a lot of work. So I got to the parking lot of this fire station here at like 5:45 that morning. And I was here until probably 5:45, 6:45 at night that night. And we worked really hard. Lots of people came through. I, as president, was just sort of roving around and trying to keep everything going as best as I could. One of the things I hadn't realized in past years was just how many people come through that I know. I saw an attorney I had a case with. I saw a judge that I had just had a case in front of. I saw a few clients of mine. I saw friends of mine that I'd grown up with. And I think the thing that probably is going to stick out as this year's memory is the pancake breakfast was really quite popular this year. And we had a problem with the lines in front because we have a line to pay and then a line to get in, and they were getting mixed up. So I went to one of my Rotarians and I was like, we need to do something about this. We got a safety cone from the fire station and a big long box that rolled alfoil had come in, and we flipped the box up on its side and went into her office across the street. I can't even think of the name of the offices. They're new offices. It's one of those co-working spaces downtown. And she got a sheet of paper and a Sharpie and wrote on there, line to pay, line to enter. And we taped it to this roll of alfoil and put it out in front. And I share that memory because, one, it's kind of funny. And it was nice to see it with friends that we have, but also like that sense of, again, community with Apex, that we're in the fire station, people in the fire station were willing to try to help us figure it out. Like, here's a safety cone. But also we could just go across the street to one of our Rotarians' offices and solve that problem. And later in that day, it was probably, 3:30, 4 o'clock. We're lining everyone up for the parade. The weather was kind of gross. If you remember the weather this year, it was like 40 and rainy, and I did not have an umbrella or a poncho. One of our friends who had a poncho, it was like floating inside out, and everyone was just remarkably joyous to be doing it. It is hard work. So what I was doing as president, I had the exalted job of helping people get to the right place for the parade, because we had probably something like 100, 150 people in the parade. I don't remember the specific number, or floats, not people, floats. And everyone had, like, from Cub Scouts up to high school football players to a guy who's now in the United States Congress. Everybody needed to figure out where they were trying to go. And I was trying to make sure there weren't traffic jams because the floats are hard to navigate. And everyone was just so happy to be there. I was worried the whole day because it's overcast and rainy. Nobody's going to show up, or people are going to show up and there's going to be one person on their float and it's going to be sad. And we had a great parade this year. We had a ton of people show up, and I was just stunned that people were willing to still come out to it and to make that Apex Rotary Christmas Parade just like the great community event that it is. It went off so well, and we had a lot of different concerns this year. And it's really beautiful, if you've never been to the parade, to sit on Main Street and just see like your whole community around you and then literally paraded in front of you. Putting all of those faces together and seeing all of the different people that you know in all of these different contexts is just a lovely thing. I want Apex to grow, but continue to be the welcoming place that it's been for me. It's such a unique community. There's a reason why my family chose it. There's a reason why people show up for things like the pancake breakfast and the parade. We still have that small town feel where we're growing. Apex is not quite a city yet, but we'll probably get there. And it's changing, but somehow Apex has managed to keep the sort of core identity and to sort of bring new people into the family of Apex. And I think that's just a really beautiful picture of what community can be and how a town can function. And I think we really need to keep in mind the things that have made us successful so far. It's things like people being willing to welcome immigrants and strangers and give them help even when they may not have the ability to pay them or help them out. It's things like showing up when it's raining outside for our Christmas parade, because that's what we do here, because the community matters. And it's things like making a guy from Australia that you've only just recently met, that's 32 and has small children, the president of your Rotary Club, because you want your Rotary Club to keep growing and to have a vision for the future. So I'm confident that there are a lot of people in Apex who are looking ahead at how can we grow, but how can we also keep what's made us the sort of place that needs to grow and the sort of place that people want to come to. And I'm really hopeful that 50 years from now, Apex can continue to be just a beautiful, vibrant community. Right before I came here, I was talking to my secretary, Marion White, who's like old Apex. And I was telling her I was going to this video interview for the 150th anniversary of Apex. And she said, oh, it is the 150th anniversary of Apex. I remember the 100th anniversary. And she was telling me about the 100th anniversary. In context, she told me that it was also her 50th wedding anniversary. She's apparently like same year she got married was Apex's 100th anniversary. And I was just thinking, like, this is a connection from the past to the present to the future. Like, here I am talking to someone who grew up in Apex when Apex was pretty much nothing, like a dot on the map that nobody would have heard of outside of Lake County, probably. And now Apex is one of the best places in the country to live. And we've grown in part because of who we are, but we've also grown because we can extend who we are to new people. And I'm part of those new people that it's extended to. So my hope is that I can extend that to new people and that we can extend that to new people together.